all children and adults and everybody away from the
Welcome to the 2A State Softball Championships on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. My name is Matt Robinson. Let's recognize our sponsors here today: Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers, Utah Community Credit Union, Intermountain Power Service Corporation, Central Valley Medical Center in Nephi, Sunrise Engineering, San Pete Steel in Moroni, Beaver Valley Hospital, Nephi Federal Credit Union, Beaver Medical Clinic, Barney Trucking, Honey's Marketplace in Kanab, and Jones and DeMille Engineering. And welcome to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. My name is Matt Robinson. This morning we will be watching the game number 2, Duchesne Eagles facing off against the number 3 San Juan Broncos in the 10 a.m. Friday morning undefeated bracket ball game. The winner of this game advances to the 3 p.m. undefeated bracket game. The loser will drop down to the loser's bracket to face Beaver immediately following this game. On the opposite side of the bracket, you have number 1 Enterprise squaring off against the number 4 Parowan Enterprise Wolves, squaring off against the number 4 Parowan Rams. So the two 10 a.m. undefeated bracket games going on simultaneously here this morning. We're on field 4 with Duchesne San Juan, Parowan and Enterprise on field 3. And this looks to be a very spirited and competitive matchup between the Duchesne Eagles and the San Juan Broncos, and we're happy to bring it here to you this morning. And nothing's more exciting this morning, folks, than the 10 a.m. undefeated bracket game here in the 2A softball tournament, and wish both teams the very best of luck. Your visiting team, San Juan Broncos, starting lineup will be Cordova in the 1 hole, Gilson in the 2 hole, Watcott the pitcher in the 3 hole, Palmer in the 4 hole, Johnson in the 5 hole, Cosby in the 6 hole as the designated player, Howard in the 7 hole, Dowley in the 8 hole, Atsidy in the 9 hole, and your flex player Perkins. And here we go. In the circle for the Duchesne Eagles is number 24, Kelsey Grant, the senior. First pitch of the ball game, strike 1. Grant firing early, strike 2. Off-speed pitch. Duchesne wanted that one. Just off the outside corner for ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes here to the leadoff batter. Hard hit ground ball back up the middle. So after falling behind 0-2, Cordova able to square one up and get the single up the middle for the leadoff base runner single for the San Juan Broncos. So very gutsy at bat. Here's the pitch. Pops straight up back to Grant in the circle. Grant drifts under, makes the catch for the first out of the inning. And Gilson flew out to the pitcher. So 1 out, runner on first, and into the box steps Watcott, number 2 for the San Juan Broncos. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. The base runner's going. The throw was in time, but skips off the glove of the shortstop, and that's a stolen base for Cordova. Moving a runner into scoring position here with 1 out in the top half of the first inning. First pitch, strike 1. So the count is no balls, 1 strike, 1 out here in the top half of the first inning. Runner on second. Fastball fouled off down the first baseline, strike 2. So the count will be no balls, 2 strikes. Runner on second, Watcott in the box for the San Juan Broncos. And here's the 0-2 pitch. Ball hit right back up the middle, the same exact location as Cordoba. They're bringing her around third, and that will be an RBI single here in the top half of the first inning for Watcott. Watcott able to square it up and hit a hard hit ground ball back up the middle for an RBI single. And the San Juan Broncos take the lead 1-0 here in the top half of the first inning. So that's an RBI single for Watcott. There will be a speed-up runner for the pitcher, who enters the game on first base. So here's the situation. 1 out, runner on first, and the 4-hole hitter, number 7, Palmer, steps into the box. Palmer asking for time. She gets situated. There's the pitch. Foul tip, strike 1. Grant paints a beautiful pitch across the inside corner. Beautiful spot. Grant having no trouble pitching ahead early in this ball game. Fastball off the outside corner for ball 1. The count goes to 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out with a runner on first. The San Juan Broncos scoring the first run of the ball game here in the top half of the first inning. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Ball is hit high to the left side of the infield. Third baseman's calling everybody off, and that will be a out. So that's a fly out to the third baseman for the second out of the inning. Brings the situation to 2 outs, runner on first. And Johnson steps to the plate, number 14, in the 5-hole hitter. In the 5-hole. Swing and a miss. No, foul tip. Dead ball. Runner will go back to first base. Grant doing a very nice job of pitching ahead in the count early in this ball game. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Square for a bunt. She offered at it, but missed for strike 2. So the count goes to no balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs with the runner on first. Ball high and away. Two outs, runner on first, and Grant toes the rubber. Foul ball. Ball was high and inside, but skipped off the bat of Johnson for strike 2 count. Change up off the outside corner for a ball. Brings the count even at 2-2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner on first here in the top half of the first inning. Fouled straight back to the screen. Grant working that inner half of the plate, came up and in with the fastball, but Johnson able to foul it off and stay alive. Runner remains at first base. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner on first base here in the top half of the first inning. Pitch low and inside for ball 3. That'll bring the count to full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. And with a full count and 2 outs, the base runner on first base will be moving at the pitch. Here's the 3-2 pitch from Grant. Foul ball hit down the first baseline in foul territory as Johnson stays alive here in the top half of the first inning. Very tough at bat here from Johnson. Fouling several pitches off and staying alive. Here's the 3-2 pitch from Grant. Again, fouled off down the first baseline, and Johnson hangs in there. Fastball up and in, could have been out of the strike zone, but Johnson didn't want to take a chance, fouled it off to stay alive here in the top half of the first inning. The San Juan Broncos taking a 1-run lead here early in this ball game. Strike 3, backwards K. So after a very tough at bat, Johnson takes a fastball across the outside corner of the plate for strike 3 and out number 3. But the San Juan Broncos plate 1 run here in the top half of the first inning. We'll be right back after these messages.
Since 1947, Barney Trucking has built a reputation of unparalleled customer service and satisfaction in the trucking industry. Barney Trucking is now hiring drivers statewide, including Beaver, Millard, Sevier, San Pete, Juab, Carbon, Emery, Utah, and Salt Lake counties, as well as many other locations. The job includes a home daily schedule, excellent pay, benefits, training, retirement, a positive work environment, and requires a Class A CDL license with doubles endorsement. To apply, go to barneyjobs.com. That's barneyjobs.com.
At Central Valley Medical Center, we're committed to offering the best care.
In your life's first moments.
Through your life's biggest emergencies.
In your everyday help.
In those days that mean the most.
Central Valley Medical Center will be there with you through each step and stage of life, bringing the best care because we care, closer to home.
Welcome back to the state softball tournament on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom, in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson, and we move to the bottom half of the first inning. In the circle for the San Juan Broncos will be number 2, Watcott, who pitched a gem of a game yesterday against South Sevier. And Watcott the senior with a 5.73 ERA on the season, pitched a great game yesterday. We'll see if she can follow that up today. And we move to the bottom half of the first inning. The lineup for the Duchesne Eagles will be number 23, Grant, number 20, Farnsworth, number 24, Grant, number 8, Moreland, number 22, Maurer, number 2, Farnsworth, number 10, Crum, number 14, Skews, number 19, Larson, and number 13, Skews in the flex position. Number 14, Skews, the designated player. Number 13, Skews, the flex player. And into the box steps Grant for the Duchesne Lady Eagles. Number 23, Grant, 454 batting average on the year with 44 hits and 23 RBIs, very productive in the one hole for the Lady Eagles. And here we go in the bottom half of the first inning. High fastball, swinging, strike 1. Watcott's ball has a lot of movement on it. That has got to be a rise ball, but it tails away from the right-handed batter. A tough pitch to hit if she's hitting her spots. Fastball low and inside for ball 1, levels the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Watcott takes the signal, and Grant calls a timeout, steps out of the box, and resets. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Watcott. High and away, ball 2. Count goes to 2 balls, 1 strike, and nobody out to the leadoff batter for the Duchesne Eagles here in the bottom half of the first inning. San Juan plated 1 run in the top half of the first. We'll see if Duchesne can answer. Watcott misses low and away for ball 3. So Grant very patient here in the leadoff position, in the leadoff spot, brings the count to 3 balls and 1 strike. Strike 2 across the outside corner of the plate brings the count to full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out here as Grant is the leadoff batter for Duchesne here in the bottom half of the first inning. Here's the 3-2 pitch from Watcott. Fouled back. Grant hangs in there, stays alive. Watcott checks the wristband, toes the rubber. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Fouled off down the right field line in foul territory. And a very tough-minded at-bat here from Grant here in the bottom half of the first inning as the leadoff batter for the Duchesne Eagles. Here's the 3-2 pitch from Watcott. Strike 3. Grant thought about it, but couldn't get her bat extended and around, and Watcott paints the inside corner on the backwards K for the first out of the inning for the San Juan Broncos. Strikeout number 1. Watcott had 10 strikeouts yesterday afternoon against South Sevier. Stepping into the 2-hole for the Duchesne Eagles is number 20, Farnsworth. Farnsworth batting .200, 16 hits, and that's a first pitch pop out back to the pitcher, Watcott. Great spot on the pitch there by Watcott. Popped straight back to the pitcher for out number 2. Little instruction from Farnsworth to the 3-hole hitter Grant, the pitcher, and Grant is put on first base. It's an intentional walk here in the bottom half of the first inning. Interesting move here in the bottom half of the first. Grant is batting .411 with 37 hits and 42 RBIs, and the San Juan Broncos opt to put her on. So there will be 2 outs. And into the box steps number 8, Moreland, the catcher. Runner on first base. 2 outs here in the bottom half of the first. Moreland batting .544 on the season with 49 hits and 44 RBIs, so an interesting decision to put Grant on and pitch to Moreland. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Here's the 0-1 pitch, 2 outs, runner on first. Ball is high and away for ball 1. Levels the count at 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 outs with a runner on first. Moreland steps into the box, and here's the 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss with the high fastball. Watcott throws the rise ball, which tails away from a right-handed batter. Swing and a miss, bringing the count to 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 outs here in the bottom half of the first inning. Here's the 1-2 pitch from Watcott. Foul tip. Straight back to the backstop, and Moreland hangs tough with 2 strikes. Able to foul that ball straight back and stay alive here, down 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2 pitch. And that ball is a high looping fly ball, which is going to drop in front of the left fielder. That's going to be a 2-out single by Moreland. Did not square that ball up, but had just enough, or not quite enough, and found green grass just in front of the feet of the left fielder for a 2-out hit by Moreland. Stepping into the box is number 22, Maurer. Maurer, a freshman, 423 on the season with 30 hits and 17 RBIs. Now with runners on first and second with 2 outs. There's the pitch to Maurer, high and outside for ball 1. One ball, no strikes, and 2 outs. Runners on first and second here in the bottom half of the first inning. Strike 1. Watcott painted the outside corner and got the call. Strike 1 levels the count at 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs. Runners on first and second. We'll see if Duchesne can continue here with 2 outs in the bottom half of the first inning. Strike 2 called. Watcott throwing that pitch that runs away from the right-handed batter and got the corner for called strike 2. Brings the count to 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Ball is low and in the dirt. A great job by the catcher, Dally, keeping that ball in front of her and keeping the base runners on first and second. Levels the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. Here's the 2-2 pitch from Watcott. Ball is hit to the right side, ground ball to the second base, who fields it and throws across to the first base for the 3rd out of the inning. And that's a 4-3 put out to end the inning here in the bottom half of the first inning. No runs on 1 hit and 2 runners left on base. We'll be right back after these messages.
Centricom believes the service relationship continues long after installation, and we're available to support you every step of the way. That's why if there is a problem with our equipment, a service visit from us means no cost to you. We know the value of a satisfied customer, so if you refer us to a friend, we'll take care of them and you'll get 1 month of service free. We promise to make your experience the best it can be. Centricom, keeping you connected.
Honey's Marketplace invites you to experience their refreshing variety and signature items. Honey's Marketplace features a wide selection of camping supplies, a garden nursery, and fresh floral department. Experience fresh-baked artisan breads and pastries in their bakery, and sushi made fresh every day. Get all this with hometown service you deserve. Fresh, friendly, and close to home. Honey's Marketplace, 260 East, 300 South in Kanab.
Welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. I'm Matt Robinson. You're watching State Softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. And we move to the top half of the second inning at the end of 1 complete innings. 1 complete inning, the San Juan Broncos lead the Duchesne Eagles 1-0. And we move to the top of the second. Due up for the Broncos will be Cosby, followed by Howard, followed by Dally. 6, 7, and 8 holes in the lineup for San Juan. And an early run by the San Juan Broncos leave the Broncos with a 1-run lead moving into the top half of the first inning. Grant doing a great job in the top half of the first, pitching ahead in every count, but ended up giving up a couple of singles back up the middle, which ultimately cost the Duchesne Eagles a run. But that's a good sign. If Grant can pitch ahead early in the counts, it gives her a lot more latitude as a pitcher. Here's the pitch from Grant. Ball was inside off the plate, but with the appeal from the home plate umpire to the first base umpire, they said yes, she did. She offered at the ball for a swinging strike 1. Called strike 2, so early in this top half of the second inning, Grant working the inside half of the plate. Let's see if she stays there. Here's the 0-2 pitch from Grant. She does, low for ball 1. Brings the count to 1 ball, 2 strikes with no outs here in the top half of the second. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Grant goes outside and with the fastball and misses off the outside corner, levels the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the 2-2 pitch from Grant. Off-speed pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. And that's a strikeout, swinging strikeout for Grant. Great off-speed pitch from Grant for the first out here in the top half of the second inning. Stepping into the box for San Juan is number 15, Howard. Ball is high and outside for ball 1. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Grant. Working that inside corner, strike 1. Levels the count at 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out here. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Grant. Low, ball 2. So 2 balls, 1 strike and 1 out here in the top of the second to Howard. Hard hit ground ball down the third baseline, and what a beautiful glove by Crum. Crum goes into the gap, puts leather on the ball, and fires a strike across the diamond for out number 2. That's a 5-3 put out for the second out of the inning. Great defensive play by Crum, the third baseman. So with 2 outs, Dally steps into the box for the Lady Broncos and takes first pitch, strike 1. So again, Grant having no problem pitching ahead in these counts. Second pitch low, ball 1. That levels the count at 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 outs here to Dally. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Dally. Ground ball straight back to the pitcher. Grant fields the ball and throws across the diamond for the third out of the inning. That's a 1-3 put out to end the top half of the second. The Duchesne Lady Eagles go to the bottom half of the second, trailing San Juan Broncos by 1 run. We'll be right back.
This is how 2024 Chevy Silverado HD with Duramax diesel. And the Chevy Silverado with powerful TurboMax engine. No matter what route you take, there's a Chevy truck to get you there. Find new roads. Get 1.9% financing on all 2023 Silverado 1500 LT TurboMax pickups. Plus, get a $4,000 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle. See your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealers.
The Beaver Medical Clinic has built a reputation of providing compassionate health care for residents of Beaver and Iron counties. You'll appreciate the professional services of Drs. Roger Smith, Wade Oakton, Lance Smith, Rhett Smith, and nurse practitioners Wade Hollingshead, Lindsay Cheney, Robin Horton, and Joan Yardley. The Beaver Medical Clinic is a family practice offering affordable health care and convenient payment options, with offices in Beaver, Milford, and Parowan.
Welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. You're watching State Softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson, and we move to the bottom half of the second inning. The Duchesne Eagles shut out the San Juan Broncos in the top half of the second. Now they're down 1 run. Due up for the Lady Eagles is Farnsworth in the 6 hole, followed by Crum in the 7 and Skews in the 8 hole. So the Lady Eagles looking to get something going. They need base runners here in the bottom half of the second. Watcott in the circle for the San Juan Broncos. First pitch low, ball 1. Farnsworth, a sophomore for Duchesne. batting .373 on the year with 31 hits, 27 RBIs. Pitch is fouled straight back for strike one, levels the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Nobody out. Here to the leadoff batter in the bottom half of the second inning. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Watcott. Ball is hit high, fly ball to the left fielder. The left fielder, Howard, drifted over, but unable to get a glove on it. That's going to be an E7. As Farnsworth hit a high fly ball to left field, but the left fielder unable to get leather on it. And Farnsworth with heads-up base running on the high looping fly ball, able to get all the way to second base on the air by the left fielder. As number 10, Crum, steps into the box with nobody out and a runner on second. Crum squares to bunt, fouls it back to the chain link for strike one. So here with a runner on second and nobody out, they're looking to get that runner to third base. And Crum fouls the attempted bunt straight back to the screen. Watcott jumps up 0-1, nobody out and a runner on second. Here's the 0-1 pitch from Watcott. Attempted bunt, again fouled back to the chain link by Crum, and Crum down early, 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, nobody out, with the runner on second here for Crum in the bottom half of the second inning. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Watcott gets Crum down, swinging for the first out of the inning. Duchesne coach Kyle Grant wanting to talk to his players, and the San Juan coach Mike Bowers also wants to talk to his group. So both coaches have their teams huddled up, discussing the situation. 1 out, runner on second. And number 14, Skews, the designated player, steps into the box. Skews, a senior, batting .373 on the year with 25 hits and 21 RBIs, has a runner in scoring position. Skews also squares to bunt early, but pulls back, and first pitch high, ball 1. One ball, no strikes, 1 out with a runner on second. Swing and a miss by Skews. Great cut by Skews, but Watcott painted the inside corner of the plate to level the count at 1 ball and 1 strike with 1 out. Farnsworth, the base runner on second base for the Duchesne Eagles. Fastball high and away for ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike, and 1 out. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Skews. Ball is inside. Off the inside corner, brings the count to 3 balls and 1 strike. Watcott falling behind here to Skews. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, runner on second base. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Ball 4 high, and Skews draws the 1-out walk. So that brings the situation to runners on first and second with 1 out. And number 19, Larson, steps into the box. Larson, your first baseman, batting .348 on the year will have an opportunity to advance these runners. Takes ball one outside. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Runners on first and second with 1 out for the Duchesne Eagles here in the bottom half of the second inning. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Low, ball 2. So Watcott having a little bit of trouble finding the strike zone here. And San Juan coach Mike Bowers wants a timeout to talk about it. Bowers walks to the circle to discuss the situation with his group. And Watcott having a little trouble finding the zone here, falls behind 2-0 with runners on first and second and only 1 out. San Juan does have a 1-run lead. But Duchesne has a little something going here in the bottom half of the second inning with runners on first and second and only 1 out. Third base umpire walks in to end the visit. And here we go. So the count is 2 balls, no strikes, with 1 out here to Larson. 2 balls, no strikes, as Larson steps into the box. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Strike 1 called. Watcott catches the outside corner with that fastball that tails away from a right-handed batter to bring the count to 2 balls and 1 strike. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Ball 3, high. Three balls, 1 strike. 1 out, runners on first and second, and Watcott needing to find and stay in that strike zone after giving up a walk. Ball 4, outside, off the outside corner, and that will load the bases. So Larson draws the 1-out walk to load the bases. And the Duchesne Lady Eagles have a little rumble going here in the bottom half of the second inning with bases loaded and only 1 out. And we're back to the top of the order with bases loaded and 1 out. Into the box steps Grant. Ball 1, outside. Not a bad spot by Watcott. She's looking into the dugout. She wanted that one. But off the outside corner for ball 1. Nowhere to put her. Watcott's got to come to the plate here. Got to find the strike zone. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Hard hit ground ball. Just beats the shortstop into that middle gap for an infield single. And Grant delivers a 1-out RBI single to tie this game at 1 run apiece. Here with 1 out in the bottom half of the second inning, that brings the score 1 run apiece for Duchesne and San Juan. But Duchesne with only 1 out and bases loaded, and Farnsworth stepping into the box looking to do more damage. Farnsworth 0 for 1 on the day, but has an opportunity to do some damage here. At a minimum, needs something to the right side or a deep fly ball to plate a run. Swing and a miss, fouled straight back and off the shoulder of the plate umpire. Looks to be okay, giving the thumbs up, yeah, I'm okay. Catcher giving the umpire a second, will walk the ball back out to the pitcher and let the plate umpire catch his breath after the foul tip straight back off the left shoulder blade. And that brings the count to no balls, 1 strike with 1 out and bases juiced here in the bottom half of this second inning for the Duchesne Eagles. Here's the pitch. Painted the outside corner for strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes, so a great response here with bases loaded from Watcott. Pitching ahead against Farnsworth. Count is no balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, bases loaded. Farnsworth looking to put something in play to the right side. Takes ball 1 high and away. So as the coach, you're asking Farnsworth something hard hit to the right side or a deep fly ball to plate the run on third base. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. So up 1 balls, 2 strikes. Watcott throws that fastball tailing away from the right-handed batter, and swing and a miss for the second out of the inning. 2 outs, bases loaded, and number 24, Grant, the pitcher for the Duchesne Eagles, steps into the box. Grant batting .411, 37 hits, 42 RBIs. Will have a chance to add to that total here this morning in this situation. First pitch high, ball 1. If you remember in her first at-bat, Grant was intentionally walked, put on first base. But there's nowhere to put her here, so they're going to have to pitch to her. Second pitch, ball outside. That's 2 balls, no strikes with 2 outs and bases loaded here for the Duchesne Eagles here in the bottom half of the second inning. Winner of this game advances to play in the 3 p.m. undefeated bracket. The loser drops down to play Beaver in the 1-loss bracket at 12:30. And there's a strike 1. That's a great pitch. If the umpire is going to give her that spot, she should live there all day. That pitch, that fastball low and away, is very tough to hit. 2 balls, 1 strike. Swing and a miss. Foul tip. Strike 2. And that levels the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs here in the bottom half of the second. Grant, the 3-hole hitter, squaring off against Watcott. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. So the San Juan Broncos limit the damage here in the bottom half of the first, giving up only 1 run and leaving bases loaded. And that'll do it here. After 2 complete, the score is all tied up at 1 run apiece. We'll be right back after these messages.
The Intermountain Power Service Corporation is committed to supporting our local schools, communities, and the economies of central and south central Utah. Each year, IPSC's 2 950-megawatt generating units provide 3 million megawatt hours of energy for communities in Utah and Southern California. The Intermountain Power Project ranks among the best of coal-based power plants in reliability, cost-effectiveness, and environmental responsibility. IPSC, honored to sponsor this sports broadcast.
At UCCU, we'll provide you with a low-rate line of credit that makes it easy to access the equity in your home with no fees or closing costs. Just complete an application on your phone or computer, or stop by any branch.
Hi, I'm Barrett Hilton with TeamHive.live, where we've created a locally run video streaming platform for Utah schools. Bookmark TeamHive.live, Utah's new home for streaming high school sports and other events. Powered by Centricom Local 10.
Welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. I'm Matt Robinson. You're watching State Softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. As we move to the top half of the third inning, the score is all tied up at 1 run apiece. The bottom half of the second inning, the Duchesne Eagles leave the bases loaded on the 3rd out strikeout. Watcott gets Grant swinging and leaves the bases loaded. And we move to the top half of the 3rd inning, all tied up. Due up for the San Juan Broncos will be number 13, Atsedy. And then back to the top of the order. So we're going 9-1-2, Atsedy, Cordova, and Gilson here to start the top half of the 3rd. First pitch, strike 1. Grant very effectively pitching ahead all day. And in that bottom half of the second inning, Walcott falling behind in some counts, giving up a couple of walks, but ends up with the big strikeout. There's a line drive, fly out straight away center field for the first out of the inning. Grant gets Atzity to fly out to center field for out number 1. So Grant now at 35 pitches with 1 out here in the top of the 3rd. Strike 1, paints the outside corner. Back to the top of the order we go with Cordova. Cordova 1 for 1 with the single back up the middle. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Grant looking to push the tempo, push the pace of the game just a little bit, very quickly towing the rubber and ready to deliver. The pitch goes up, no balls, 2 strikes with 1 out and no base runners on here in the top of the 3rd. Great 0-2 pitch off the outside corner for ball 1. Brings the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes to Cordova, who is 1 for 1 on the day. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Ball 2, outside. Great spot by Grant. Hitter spot. Put it exactly where Moreland was asking for it, but just off the outside corner, levels the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pitch on the inside corner, fouled back to the chain link. The count will remain at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out here in the top of the 3rd. Here's the 2-2 pitch from Grant. Ball 3 outside. So that'll bring the count to full to the leadoff batter, Cordova. Grant going inside, outside, inside, outside. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swing and fouled straight back. So Cordova hangs tough, able to foul that pitch straight back to the chain link and stay alive with a 3-2 count. Grant surpasses the 40 pitch mark. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Looping line drive, fielded and caught by number 19, Larson, the first baseman. So a great battle at the plate, ends in a looping line drive, caught for the 2nd out of the inning by the first baseman, Larson, which brings up Gilson. Gilson 0 for 1 on the day. Steps into the box with 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd. Fastball, strike 1, paints the outside corner. Does Grant, and pitches ahead here early with 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd. Ball's going to be off the foot of Gilson, called a dead ball. That'll be strike 2. So here with 2 outs, Grant quickly jumps up. No balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs to Gilson. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Change up, swing and a miss. Strike 3. So a great 1-2-3 inning there from Grant. Retires a side. No runs, no hits, and nobody left on. And we're moving to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. We'll be right back.
Nephi Federal Credit Union in Nephi offers convenient service and a variety of financial services. They're your hometown credit union that's been serving local residents for over 63 years, longer than any other financial institution in Nephi. The staff invites you to check out their incredible rates on a variety of loans and savings accounts. Nephi Federal Credit Union, 155 North Main in Nephi. Call 623-1895. That's 623-1895. Nephi Federal Credit Union, proud supporter of the Wasps this season.
I'm Dr. Sorensen. I'm a board-certified pediatrician, and I'm the newest addition to the team of doctors here at Central Valley Medical Center. My goal is to work closely with you when making decisions about your child's health. After all, you know them better than anyone else.
I think as a mom it can be really overwhelming to find a doctor who's a really good fit for your family. I look for someone who I can trust. It's so validating and comforting knowing that I can call and get the answers I need from Dr. Sorensen and his staff.
I look forward to meeting you and your child and bringing you the best care closer to home.
Welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. You're watching State Softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson, and we move to the bottom half of the third inning. Due up for the Duchesne Eagles is Moreland, Maurer, and Farnsworth, the 4, 5, and 6 holes for the Duchesne Eagles, and an impressive top half of the third by Grant retires the San Juan Broncos in order. Moreland steps into the box in the 4-hole. Moreland, the senior, batting .544 with 49 hits and 44 RBIs, will be the leadoff batter here in the bottom half of the third. First pitch fouled off down the third baseline for strike one. Moreland 1 for 1 on the day, hit the looping line drive that fell in front of the left fielder for a single. Here's the 0-1 pitch from Watcott. Fly ball hit down the left field line. Will it be fair? It is fair. And Moreland rounding first and going for third. Here's the play at third base, and she's in safely on her belly for a leadoff triple from Moreland. Moreland hit the ball. She did not square it up, but it had eyes and just inside the left field line, and very aggressive base running from Moreland, able to take third base on the leadoff triple. So Moreland stays perfect at the plate, 2 for 2 with a single and a triple, and into the box steps Maurer with nobody out and a runner on third. Impressive, aggressive base running there by Moreland for Duchesne. She didn't stand and watch and wonder what was going to happen. She was on her horse, and she takes third base. First pitch, ball outside. Number 22, Maurer, showing bunt. Possibly a safety squeeze or a squeeze play on tap for the Duchesne Eagles. We'll see what happens, but first pitch outside, ball one. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Maurer again squares to bunt. That's a foul ball. First baseman Palmer crashing hard, but ball is in foul territory, and that levels the count at 1 ball, 1 strike with nobody out, and Moreland on third base for the Duchesne Eagles. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Maurer again squares to bunt, gets it down. Moreland waiting to see what the play is. So a very interesting base running call. So Maurer lays the bunt down the first baseline. Watcott fields the ball, glanced quickly back at Moreland, but Moreland was off the bag and waiting to see what the throw was as Watcott spun and threw it to first. Moreland took home, and that brings the score 2 runs to 1. So the Duchesne Eagles take the lead here in the bottom half of the third. 2 runs to 1, 1 out. Strike 1 to number 2, Farnsworth. Farnsworth 1 for 1 on the day. So it was not a straight, what we call a straight squeeze play. Moreland hung off the bag and waited to make a read. As soon as the throw went to first, Moreland took home. There's the hard hit ground ball to second base. The second baseman Cordova fields it, throws across the diamond to Palmer for the second out of the inning. So that's a 4-3 put out on the hard hit ground ball to second base. And that will be 2 outs. And into the box steps Crum. Crum is 0 for 1 on the day. First pitch, ball 1, outside. So Moreland leads the bottom half of the third inning off with a triple on some aggressive base running And that pays off as they're able to plate her on the bunt by Maurer. Here's the pitch. Looping fly ball hit down the first baseline will land in foul territory for strike one. Levels the count at 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 outs. Nobody on as Crum steps into the box, who is 0 for 1 on the day. Watcott at 55 pitches. Foul ball straight back over top of the scores box here for strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Here's the 1-2 pitch from Watcott. High and away, ball 2. Will level the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. The Duchesne Eagles take a 1-run lead, 2 runs to 1 over the San Juan Broncos here on the triple by Moreland and the executed bunt by Maurer. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Ball 3 outside will bring the count to full with 2 outs here in the bottom half of the third inning. Here's the 3-2 pitch to Crum. Line drive hit straight back up the middle. That'll be a 2-out single by Crum. A really great piece of hitting there by Crum, able to get her hands through, keep it inside the ball, and hit a line drive right back up the middle for a 2-out single. And the Duchesne Eagles are still in business. Number 14, Skews, steps into the box, the designated player. Skews 0 for 0 on the day. Now with Crum at first base and 2 outs. Here's the pitch from Watcott. First pitch, ball outside. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes, with 2 outs and a runner on first. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Watcott. Ground ball hit straight back up the middle for the second consecutive 2-out single. So Skews delivers here with 2 outs, and the Duchesne Eagles are still alive here in the bottom half of the third inning. Hard hit ground ball right back up the middle for the second consecutive 2-out hit, and that brings the situation to runners on first and second with 2 outs. And number 19, Larson, steps into the box. Her second plate appearance at Larson, 0 for 0 on the day. Will have a chance to keep this inning alive for the Duchesne Eagles. First pitch, high and away, ball 1. Duchesne looking to stay alive here with 2 outs and a 1-run lead in the bottom half of the third inning. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Watcott. Swing and a miss, strike 1, and the ball just off the glove of the catcher, Dally. And Crum very wisely makes the read and takes third base. The count level at 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs. Skews should have followed down to second base, but did not. But a heads-up base running by Crum, who takes third base on the drop pitch. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Watcott. Fouled straight back to the chain link for strike 2. So 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, runners on first and third to Larson, the first baseman. Here's the 1-2 pitch from Watcott. High and away for ball 2. Count is 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. here in the bottom of the third inning. Runners on first and third. Here's the pitch to Larson. Swing and a miss, strike three. So Watcott able to control the damage here with the strike three and the third out of the inning. And the Duchesne Eagles take a 2-1 lead here at the end of three. We'll be right back after these messages.
San Pete Steel in Moroni was founded in 1994 and is one of the major steel construction companies in the Intermountain West, specializing in structural steel fabrication and erection. San Pete Steel's impressive portfolio includes the Hale Theater in Sandy and structures on the campuses of the University of Utah, BYU, and UVU. San Pete Steel in Moroni, where their motto is done right and on time, at 685 East Main in Moroni. Call 800-261-1026, 800-261-1026, or sanpetesteel.com. Beaver Valley Hospital continues to offer high-quality health care at the state's lowest price. Beaver Valley Hospital has state-of-the-art laboratory and radiology services, including cutting-edge X-ray and 3D ultrasound. The hospital also provides expanded surgical procedures for orthopedics and laparoscopic hysterectomy. Remodeled patient rooms and long-term care facilities combine with compassionate staff to provide our patients a comfortable and healing environment. Beaver Valley Hospital is a proud community supporter and is pleased to sponsor Beaver High School.
Welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. You're watching State Softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson. We move to the top of the fourth inning. Duchesne with a one-run lead, 2-1 over San Juan. Due up for the San Juan Broncos will be Watcott, Palmer, and Johnson, their 3, 4, 5 hitters. And now down by one run. San Juan needs base runners here in the top half of the fourth inning. A very quick inning here in the top of the third from Grant. Went 1, 2, 3 and retired him in order. And great ball game so far. In the other 2A game, you have Enterprise leading Parowan 5-1 after 5 innings. And here we go in the top of the fourth. First pitch, ball one. Pitcher Grant facing off against pitcher Watcott, who bats in the 3-hole for the San Juan Broncos. 1 ball. Second pitch, strike, paints the inside corner to level the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Watcott 1 for 1 on the day. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Watcott. Swing and a hard hit, ground ball straight back up the middle for a leadoff single for Watcott. So Watcott doing her job and helping her cause. Leads the top half of the fourth off with a single back up the middle. And there's a base runner aboard for San Juan with nobody out. Number 7, Palmer. The cleanup batter steps into the box. Palmer, a senior, batting .431 with 31 hits and 30 RBIs. Here with the base runner on and nobody out in the top half of the fourth inning. San Juan Broncos trail by 1 run, 2 runs to 1. Trail to the Duchesne Eagles. First pitch, base runner, number 3, the speed up runner for San Juan on a straight steal, Morgan McPherson, the freshman, and she is safe at second base. Great base running for the San Juan Broncos, moves a runner into scoring position with nobody out here in the top of the fourth, and their 4-hole hitter Palmer steps in. First pitch, ball 1. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Grant with a bit of an off-speed pitch off the outside corner gets Palmer. Swing and a miss, strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, nobody out, runner on second. Ball is hit high and out of play down the first baseline for strike 2. So Grant will go up 1 ball, 2 strikes on Palmer. Nobody out with the runner on second. Palmer looking to find something to the right side or a gap to move that runner over. Umpire refilling his ball bags. And here we go. 1 ball, 2 strikes, nobody out, runner on second. Pitch outside for ball 2 will level the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out, runner on second. Here's the 2-2 pitch from Grant. Hard hit ground ball, foul down the third baseline. Foul ball, count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody out. Runner on second base. Two-two pitch outside for ball 3, and that will bring the count to full here to Palmer. Here in the top half of the 4th, 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Pitch is fouled off down the third baseline as Palmer stays alive. It was a great pitch, great 3-2 pitch there by Grant, but Palmer able to foul it off and hang tough, staying alive here with full count, nobody out. Here's the 3-2 pitch from Grant. Fly ball, back up the middle. The base runner hanging off the base. Could have tagged, but probably never had the intention of tagging as that ball was hit to somewhat shallow center field. Personally, I would have liked to have seen the base runner tag on that just in case, but that nevertheless, base runner remains at second base, and that's the first out of the inning. Fly out to center field. So Grant wins the battle over Palmer, getting her to fly out to center field for the first out of the inning. The runner remains at second, and into the box steps number 14, Johnson, for San Juan. First pitch fouled off down the right side, strike 1. McPherson, the freshman, remains at second base with 1 out. Second pitch, strike 2. So no balls, 2 strikes with 1 out and a runner on second. And here's the 0-2 pitch to Johnson. Line drive, hit back up the middle. It's going to find green grass over top of the shortstop and in front of the center fielder. And that's a 1-out single by Johnson. Moves the base runner, McPherson, to third base. So you'll have runners on first and third with 1 out. And Cosby, the designated player, steps into the box. Great piece of hitting with 1 out there by Johnson as Cosby steps into the box. Cosby 0 for 1 on the day, but now has a runner on third base. Cosby squares to bunt, but pulls back. Looked like that was to get the runner across the diamond from first to second, and it's successful. So you have the count at 0-1 with 1 out and runners on on second and third. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Ball 1 inside to number 9, Cosby. Runners on second and third and 1 out here in the top half of the 4th inning. Fouled off down the right side. Cosby's hand's a little slow on that fastball on the inner half. Look for Grant to come back in on the inside half. Looking not to speed up the hands of Cosby. Grant up 1 ball, 2 strikes with 1 out. Runners on second and third here in the top of the 4th. Here's the 1-2 pitch from Grant. And she did come back inside, but a little too far inside, and up 1 ball to 2 strikes. Grant gives up the hit by pitch, and Cosby will take first base on the hit by pitch. I like the idea from Grant there, trying to come on the inner half of the plate, but just came in a little bit too far and gives up the hit by pitch to load the bases here in the top of the 4th with 1 out. And into the box steps number 15, Howard, who is 0 for 1 on the day. Howard, with 1 out and bases loaded, has a chance to answer for the San Juan Broncos here in the top of the 4th. First pitch, ball, high and away. Nowhere to put her. Grant's going to have to come to the plate. Second pitch, fastball, high and away, ball 2. To Howard. Howard up 2-0 with 1 out and bases loaded. You'd like to see Grant come right after her in this situation. Third pitch, ball 3, low. So the count goes to 3-0. I would imagine Howard will have the take all the way on this pitch. Up 3 balls to no strikes and bases loaded. And she does with the fastball right down the pipe ski. Brings the count to 3 balls and 1 strike with 1 out and bases loaded. Howard still looking for the perfect pitch. It's a hitter's count, 3 balls, 1 strike and 1 out. And here's the 3-1 pitch to Howard. Swing and fouled off, dead ball. And that will bring the count to full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out and bases loaded. So after falling down 3-0, Grant delivers 2 consecutive strikes to bring the count to full with 1 out and bases loaded here in the bottom of the top half of the 4th. Strike 3 called, backwards K. Grant painted the inside corner on Howard and got the strikeout looking for the second out of the inning. Huge strikeout by Grant. Grant falls behind, 3 balls to no strikes, comes back with 3 consecutive strikes, including the fastball, painting the inside corner for the 3rd strike. And that's the second out of the inning. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And into the box steps number 11, Dally. First pitch, strike 1. No balls, 1 strike, 2 outs here in the top half of the 4th. Excuse me. Ball 1 levels the count at 1 ball and 1 strike with 2 outs. So after loading the bases, Grant able to come up with a huge strikeout. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Hard hit, ground ball. It is fielded by the shortstop. Grant goes onto her belly, makes the play, and throws from her backside for the force out at second base. And what a fantastic defensive play by the shortstop Grant for the Duchesne Eagles. Leave the bases loaded, and they're moving to the bottom half of the 4th inning on the great defensive play by the shortstop Grant. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Barrett Hilton with TeamHive.live, where we've created a locally run video streaming platform for Utah schools. On our website, you're not going to wade through a bunch of unrelated content. You bring up TeamHive.live and you're just going to find a lot of high school sports and events. We've created tools that make it super easy for you to create events and stream to our site. And if you ever need help with anything, you can give me a call. So I want to invite your school to join the team. If you're a Utah high school, you can stream live on TeamHive. That's TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom.
Vince Lombardi once said, "The measure of who we are is what we do with what we have." The quote rings true whether applied to our country, our schools, our homes, or on the field of play. We applaud our student athletes for their hard work and determination on the field and in the classroom. Brought to you by Sunrise Engineering, promoting excellence in sports and education. Visit us at sunrise-eng.com. That's sunrise-eng.com.
Welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. You're watching State Softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson, and what a play to end the top half of the fourth inning. With 2 outs, the San Juan Broncos had the bases loaded, and Grant, the shortstop for Duchesne, goes deep into the gap on her belly, puts leather on the ball, turns on her backside, and fires the throw to second base for the force out to prevent the run from scoring. What a great response after loading the bases. And we move to the bottom half of the fourth inning. The Duchesne Eagles with a 1-run lead, 2-1 over San Juan. The San Juan Broncos due up for the Duchesne Eagles. They're back to the top of the order. There go Grant, Farnsworth, and Grant, 1, 2, 3. To lead off the bottom half of the fourth inning. And with a 1-run lead, they can't be satisfied. They need base runners. Grant asking for timeout as she resets, and here's the first pitch of the bottom of the fourth inning. Looping line drive hit to the right side. That's a fair ball. Watcott hustling over to try to make the play, but the ball had a ton of spin. I believe that's an infield single by the leadoff batter, Grant. Did not hit the ball hard, but as it hit the dirt, had a ton of spin, and Watcott just unable to reel it in. And that's a leadoff single for Grant. And here we go. First pitch, ball 1 to Farnsworth. Farnsworth 0 for 2 on the day, squares to bunt. But pulls back. Count goes to 1-0. Nobody out. Runner on first. Farnsworth squares to bunt again, but again pulls back on the outside fastball. That'll bring the count to 2 balls, no strikes, with nobody out and a runner on first. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Again squares to bunt. This one fouls straight back to the chain link for strike 1. Dead ball. Runner will stay at first. The count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. So Farnsworth looking to move the runner over on the bunt. We'll see if she can execute here with nobody out and a runner on first in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Farnsworth squares to bunt and fouls it off down the third baseline. And that will bring the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. We'll see if Farnsworth is asked to execute with 2 strikes. And the base runner, Grant, appears to have left early. And she is called out, so a huge turn of events here. Changes the complexion here at the start of the bottom half of the fourth, as Grant, the base runner, is called out. And immediately on the next play, Farnsworth hits a hard hit line drive straight down the left field line for a ground rule double. So very unfortunate there for the Duchesne Eagles that the base runner was called out. Believe she must have left early and called out. Farnsworth immediately hits a double. So that's a 1-out double by Farnsworth here in the bottom half of the fourth. A great response by Farnsworth as Grant steps to the plate, and for the second time in this game, they are again going to put Grant on base with the intentional walk. That'll bring runners to first and second with 1 out, and Lexi Moreland steps into the box. Moreland is the best hitter on the season for the Duchesne Eagles. The senior is batting .544 with 49 hits and 44 RBIs, so interesting choice to walk Grant and pitch to Moreland. Moreland already 2 for 2 on the day with a single and a triple. And Moreland fouls the first pitch over the first base dugout for strike 1. So no balls, 1 strike, and 1 out here with runners on first and second in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Moreland. Pitch is high and outside. And very aggressive base running again by Farnsworth. Farnsworth came way off the bag and waiting to read the throw from the catcher. The catcher didn't react quick enough. And as soon as she could see the catcher wasn't reacting, Farnsworth just went on to third base and took the base. The San Juan coach out asking for an appeal. I don't know if he's asking if she left early again or what the request is, but they're having a discussion here behind home plate. The umpire gives an explanation, and here we go. So both base runners advance on the stolen base, and the count goes to 1-1 with now runners on second and third and 1 out, and Moreland steps into the box. If they hold the form, they'd put Moreland on here with first base open, but they're not. They're going to pitch to her. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Moreland fouls it straight back. That brings the count to 1 ball, 2 strikes. So they're opting to pitch to Moreland. They put Grand on and pitch to Moreland, but now with first base open, you would think that they would also put Moreland on, but they're not going to. They're going to pitch to her. And Watcott is up 1 ball, 2 strikes with 1 out, and runners on second and third. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Moreland. Pitch is low and gets away from the catcher, Daly, and that's going to score Farnsworth on the wild pitch for another run. So on the wild pitch, Farnsworth scores, Grant advances to third, and that brings the score 3 runs to 1 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Duchesne over San Juan. That'll level the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Grant now on third base. Another pitch goes through the catcher and to the backstop. That will bring the count to full. They're able to hold the runner Grant on third base. That's a full count. And San Juan's coach calls a timeout, wants to talk it over with his group. So 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, and a runner on third base. Moreland at the plate, who is 2 for 2 on the day with a single and a triple. San Juan's coach talking it over with his group, giving some instruction, some encouragement. Only a 2-run ball game here in the bottom of the 4th. A fantastic game so far. San Juan looking to come up with an out and end this rally here in the bottom of the 4th for the Duchesne Eagles. And here we go, ready for play here in the bottom of the 4th. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. Moreland steps back into the box. Runner on third base, and here's the 3-2 pitch. Ball 4 outside, so Moreland takes the bag. She immediately rounds first and goes to second. And on defensive indifference, Watcott had the ball and was watching Moreland. One mistake that Watcott made there is she just stood just outside the circle. She did not advance. What you like your defender to do is hold the ball up and advance directly at the base runner. She didn't. She stood flat-footed, and Moreland takes second base on defensive indifference by the San Juan Broncos. So Duchesne forcing the issue here on the base pass in the bottom half of the 4th inning, and San Juan so far hasn't had a response. Moreland on the walk takes second base. So now with only 1 out, runners again at second and third base. and Maurer steps into the box. Pitch comes to the backstop. And the catcher able to respond quick enough. The catcher, Dally, able to respond quick enough to hold the runner back. Moreland was almost all the way to third base, had to scramble back to second, but everybody's safe. The count is 2 balls and no strikes here to Maurer. Maurer lays down the bunt straight back up the middle to the pitcher, and it's not going to be in time. Here's the play back to the plate. Everybody's safe. Moreland rounds third. She's coming to the plate. She is also safe, in on her belly. So on the executed bunt, Maurer is called safe at first, but plates both Grant and Moreland on extremely aggressive base running by the Duchesne Eagles. That brings the score to 5-1. So Duchesne executing the small game here in the bottom half of the fourth on the bunt, able to plate 2 runs on aggressive base running. Maurer safe at first, and then rounds second and goes all the way to the third on the throw to the plate. Both Moreland and Grant score on the bunt, and that's 5-1 here in the bottom of the fourth for Duchesne. First pitch, ball 1 to number 2, Farnsworth. So the Duchesne Eagles forcing the issue here with aggressive base running and the execution of the short game here. And they take a 4-run lead here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Still only 1 out, with a runner now on third base, Maurer, who advanced all the way to third base on the play at the plate. Count is 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. Farnsworth steps into the box, who is 1 for 2 on the day. Farnsworth attempts a bunt. Foul ball. Strike 2. And I must have missed one. That's a fouled off the bunt with 2 strikes. I missed a strike there, so that is the second out of the inning as Farnsworth fouled off the third strike of the at-bat on an attempted bunt. That brings us to 2 outs, runner on third. And there's a ground ball to third base by Crum. The third baseman, Atsedy, fields it and throws across on the 5-3 putout for the third out of the inning. But not before the Duchesne Eagles plate an additional 3 runs here in the bottom half of the fourth, bringing the score after 4 complete innings, 5-1. Duchesne leads San Juan. We'll be right back.
Since 1947, Barney Trucking has built a reputation of unparalleled customer service and satisfaction in the trucking industry. Barney Trucking is now hiring drivers statewide, including Beaver, Millard, Sevier, San Pete, Juab, Carbon, Emery, Utah, and Salt Lake counties, as well as many other locations. The job includes a home daily schedule, excellent pay, benefits, training, retirement, a positive work environment, and requires a Class A CDL license with doubles endorsement. To apply, go to barneyjobs.com. That's barneyjobs.com.
At Central Valley Medical Center, we're committed to offering the best care.
In your life's first moments.
Through your life's biggest emergencies.
In your everyday help.
In those days that mean the most.
Central Valley Medical Center will be there with you through each step and stage of life, bringing the best care because we care. Closer to home.
You're watching state softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson. Welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex, where the Duchesne Eagles plate 3 runs in the bottom half of the fourth inning to take a 5-1 lead into the top half of the fifth. A very aggressive base running and execution of the short game for the Duchesne Eagles and they plate 3 runs and take a 4-run lead here moving into the 5th inning. Due up for the San Juan Broncos in the top half of the 5th. Will be number 13, Atzity, the number 9 hole hitter, then back to the top of the order to Cordova and Gilson. So here in the top of the 5th, San Juan needing to answer, and they need base runners, 1 base runner at a time. Here's the pitch from Grant, low and inside, ball 1. Atzity 0 for 1 on the day. Steps in against Grant. Takes strike 1 on the inside corner. That'll level the count at 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody out here in the top half of the 5th. Atzity, the leadoff batter for the Broncos here in the top of the 5th. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Grant. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Grant working the inside half of that plate against Atzity. We'll see if she comes back inside with 2 strikes. 1 ball, 2 strikes, nobody out. Here to Atzity. Ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes as Crum surpasses 75 pitches on the day here in the top half of the 5th inning. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Grant gets the first out of the inning with the swing and the swinging strikeout on Atzity as the San Juan Broncos go back to the top of their order with 1 out. Stepping into the box will be Cordova. First pitch of the at-bat to Cordova is high and inside, ball 1. Second pitch, ball 2. 1 out. Cordova 1 for 2 on the day. Called strike 2. Excuse me, strike 1. That'll bring the count to 2 balls, 1 strike with 1 out here in the top half of the 5th. Looping line drive hit back to the second baseman, and that ball is caught by Farnsworth for out number 2. So 2 outs, nobody on here in the top of the 5th, and into the box steps Gilson for the San Juan Broncos. So with 2 outs here in the top of the 5th, San Juan needing to get something going. They need a base runner. We'll see if Gilson can answer. Gilson 0 for 2 on the day. Changeup missed high and away for ball 1. Ground ball straight back to Grant, who fields the play, throws across to first base for the 3rd out of the inning. So the San Juan Broncos go down in order, 1, 2, 3, and that ends the top half of the 5th. We'll be right back.
Centricom believes the service relationship continues long after installation, and we're available to support you every step of the way. That's why if there is a problem with our equipment, a service visit from us means no cost to you. We know the value of a satisfied customer, so if you refer us to a friend, we'll take care of them and you'll get 1 month of service free. We promise to make your experience the best it can be. Centricom, keeping you connected.
Honey's Marketplace invites you to experience their refreshing variety and signature items. Honey's Marketplace features a wide selection of camping supplies, a garden nursery, and fresh floral department. Experience fresh-baked artisan breads and pastries in their bakery, and sushi made fresh every day. Get all this with hometown service you deserve. Fresh, friendly, and close to home. Honey's Marketplace, 260 East, 300 South in Kanab.
You're watching state softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom, in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson. Welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex in the undefeated bracket. The home team, the number 2 ranked Duchesne Eagles, lead the visiting team, the number 3 ranked San Juan Broncos, 5-1, moving into the bottom half of the 5th inning. And leading off the bottom half of the 5th inning for Duchesne will be Skews, followed by Larson, and then back to the top of the order to Grant. So you're going 8-9-1 here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. The bottom of the 4th, very productive for the Duchesne Eagles, plating 3 runs on some crucial hits, some very aggressive base running, and some executed short game. And they take a 4-run lead here into the bottom half of the 5th inning. Here's the ready for play. And here we go here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Number 14, Skew, steps into the box. There's the pitch, and the ball is hit to the right fielder. Line drive to the right fielder. And Johnson, the right fielder, drifts under and makes a great catch for the first out of the inning. So a well-hit ball by Skews, but Johnson there for the catch, the right fielder, and that's the first out of the inning. Number 19, Larson, steps into the box. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Larson 0 for 1 on the day. And Watcott quickly up 0-1 with 1 out. Second pitch, ball high and away, levels the count at 1 ball and 1 strike with 1 out here in the bottom half of the 5th. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Watcott. Ball 2, low and in the dirt. Count goes to 2-1 with 1 out. Watcott now approaching 90 pitches on the day. Here's the 2-1 pitch from Watcott. Swing and a miss, strike 2 on the high fastball. Watcott able to get Larson with the high heat, brings the count square at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out. Here's the 2-2 pitch from Watcott. Off-speed pitch, swing and a miss for strike 3 for the second out of the inning. So nothing going so far here in the bottom half of the 5th for the Duchesne Eagles as Watcott gets the first out, fly out to right field, second out, strikeout, and into the box steps the leadoff batter Grant for the Duchesne Eagles with 2 outs. First pitch, low and away, ball 1 to Grant. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Watcott. Called, strike 2. Ball looked like it could have been a little high, but the umpire gives the spot to Watcott. Called, strike 2. Excuse me. Nope, strike 1. First pitch was low and away, so that levels the count at 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs. Swing and a miss by Grant. There's strike 2. So there's that pitch that breaks away from the right-handed batter, low and away, swinging strike 2. So Watcott goes up 1 ball, 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 5th. Grant 2 for 3 on the day. Pitch is low for ball 2. Squares the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Line drive over shortstop. That'll find green grass. That's a 2-out single by Grant. A 2-out piece of hitting by Grant keeps the Duchesne Eagles alive here in the bottom half of the 5th. At 2-2, Grant drives the ball over the shortstop and into the left center gap for a 2-out single. As number 20, Farnsworth, steps to the box. Now, based on what we saw in the bottom of the 4th, I wouldn't at all be surprised to see Grant steal second base here with a 4-run lead to put pressure on the San Juan Broncos defense. And there she goes. There's the throwdown, but not in time. The throw sails into center field, but the center fielder there to make the play. And Grant steals second base with 2 outs. First pitch, ball 1 to Farnsworth. Grant steals second base, and that puts a runner in scoring position with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Farnsworth 1 for 3 on the day. Now has a chance to deliver here in the bottom half of the 5th with a runner in scoring position. Swing and a foul tip back to the backstop. And that will level the count at 1 ball and 1 strike with 2 outs. And Grant, the base runner, now on second base for the Duchesne Eagles. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 outs. Ball outside. 2 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs. Farnsworth at the plate. She's followed by Grant and Moreland. So Watcott wanting to get this out badly. High fly ball hit down the right field line. And that's foul ball for strike 2. That'll level the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs. And Farnsworth hanging tough. Following Farnsworth, you have Grant and Moreland. 2 of the big sticks for the Duchesne Eagles. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Pitch is low for ball 3. That'll bring the count to full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs.
Coming to bat for Grantsville, number 1, Madison Hollander. On deck, number 13, and up.
Here's the 3-2 pitch to Farnsworth. High fly ball hit down the right field line. Here's the right fielder coming in and able to cover a ton of real estate is Johnson, the right fielder. Flies in, covers the ground, and makes the catch for the 3rd out of the inning. So a great response there by Watcott and the San Juan defense to retire the side. And after 5 complete, Duchesne leads San Juan 5-1. We'll be right back.
2024 Chevy Silverado HD with Duramax diesel. And the Chevy Silverado with powerful TurboMax engine. No matter what route you take, there's a Chevy truck to get you there. Find new roads. Get 1.9% financing on all 2023 Silverado 1500 LT TurboMax pickups. Plus, get a $4,000 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle. See your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealers.
The Beaver Medical Clinic has built a reputation of providing compassionate health care for residents of Beaver and Iron counties. You'll appreciate the professional services of Drs. Roger Smith, Wade Oakton, Lance Smith, Rhett Smith, and nurse practitioners Wade Hollingshead, Lindsay Cheney, Robin Horton, and Joan Yardley. The Beaver Medical Clinic is a family practice offering affordable health care and convenient payment options, with offices in Beaver, Milford, and Parowan.
Welcome back to State Softball. You're watching State Softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson, live from the Spanish Fork Softball Complex, and we move to the top of the 6th inning with the Duchesne Eagles leading the San Juan Broncos 5-1. Due up for San Juan here in the top of the 6th is Watcott, Palmer, and Johnson, the 3-4-5 hole hitters. And a great opportunity here for San Juan to get back in this ball game. If they're going to do it, they need to do it right now, down 4 runs in the top of the 6th. Grant, after giving up a run in the top of the 1st, has tightened up and pitched a gem of a game from that point forward. First pitch called, strike 1 to Watcott. Watcott didn't like it, thought it was low and in, but the umpire disagreed. Strike 1. Watcott perfect 2 for 2 on the day and looking to get things started here in the top of the 6th inning for San Juan. Grant at 85 pitches has given up 4 hits, and there is a pop out to the second baseman. So Grant able to get Watcott to fly out to the second baseman for the first out of the inning. Infield fly, first out of the inning. And Palmer steps into the box for San Juan with 1 out and no base runners on. Ground ball straight back up the middle, fielded by Grant and across the diamond to the first baseman for out number 2. So very efficient start here in the top of the 6th for Grant and the Duchesne Eagles. 2 up and 2 down on only 3 pitches. And that will bring Johnson, the right fielder, to the plate. Johnson 1 for 2 on the day. First pitch high and away. Ball 1. One ball, no strikes, and 2 outs to Johnson. Called, strike 1. Painted the outside corner, will level the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Johnson 1 for 2 on the day. Ball on the field from the adjacent diamond. We'll stop play momentarily. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 outs. No base runners on here in the top of the 6th. So at a time in the game where San Juan needs to get something going, they're already down 2 outs with no base runners. 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Johnson grounds to third baseman Crum across the diamond to number 19 Larson for the 3rd out of the inning, and the San Juan Broncos go down in order. 1, 2, 3, and that will do it. We'll be right back after these messages.
The Intermountain Power Service Corporation is committed to supporting our local schools, communities, and the economies of central and south central Utah. Each year, IPSC's 2 950-megawatt generating units provide 3 million megawatt hours of energy for communities in Utah and Southern California. The Intermountain Power Project ranks among the best of coal-based power plants in reliability, cost-effectiveness, and environmental responsibility. IPSC, honored to sponsor this sports broadcast.
At UCCU, we'll provide you with a low-rate line of credit that makes it easy to access the equity in your home with no fees or closing costs. Just complete an application on your phone or computer, or stop by any branch.
Hi, I'm Barrett Hilton with TeamHive.live, where we've created a locally run video streaming platform for Utah schools. Bookmark TeamHive.live, Utah's new home for streaming high school sports and other events. Powered by Centricom Local 10.
You're watching state softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom, in partnership with KSL Sports. And welcome back to the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. I'm Matt Robinson, now joined by Pepper Gale as the Enterprise Wolves defeat the Parowan Rams 11-4 in the other 2A championship bracket game. So the winner of this game will advance to play Enterprise at 3 p.m. and the loser will drop down to play Beaver in the 12:30 game here on field number 4 immediately following this game. And welcome back. Duchesne has the meat of their order coming up. Their 3, 4, 5-hole hitters, Grant, Moreland, and Maurer. And Pepper, you're just joining us, but in the bottom of the 4th inning, the Duchesne Eagles execute the short game and some very aggressive base running, plating 3 runs, and really kind of busted the game open, and followed that up with some great pitching by Grant.
It looks like they elected to walk Grant her first at bat.
So that's the third time today that they've intentionally walked Grant. Grant is 0 for 1 on the day, but has 3 intentional walks, which I personally find interesting because statistically, Moreland is a better hitter. Moreland's batting .544 and has obviously been crushing the ball and is 2 for 2 on the day so far today. And there's a hard hit line drive straight back up the middle by Moreland. Grant rounds second and goes all the way to third on some aggressive base running. So again, San Juan opts to walk to put Grant on, and it comes back and bites him in the backside there as Moreland hammers a single straight up the middle.
Well, and it's interesting as well as she's your leadoff batter. I mean, there's no outs, there's nobody on. You never know. She could strike out, she could tip one up. I mean, I don't know. That's an interesting strategy.
I agree. I'd like to talk to the San Juan coaching staff and see what they're, hear what they're seeing there. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying I find it interesting.
Oh!
And they call her out on the tag. So the first pitch attempted steal and out on the tag, but that allows Grant to score from third base.
Well, and you mentioned that Duchesne started playing small ball to get runs in the other game as well. That's exactly what Enterprise did. Went from 5 runs to 11 in the 6th inning.
So obviously the strategy from the Duchesne coaching staff was to apply pressure with the base runners, and that they have done. And number 22, Maurer, lines out to shortstop for the second out of the inning. So after plating a run, they follow that up with 2 consecutive outs, and that brings us to 6 runs to 1. Duchesne over San Juan with 2 outs and nobody on. Number 2, hard hit line drive. That's deep. That's back. And that ball is gone by Farnsworth. And I'll tell you what, Pepper, she did not miss that one. She got every piece of that ball, and that ball was way out of here. And it was out of here in a hurry.
Absolutely. You could tell as soon as it came off of her bat, first pitch, it had the distance, and she crushed it over that left field fence.
So another theme that I've seen throughout this game for Duchesne is hitting the ball with 2 outs. They have done much of their damage here. I'll bet out of their 7 runs, at least 4 of them have come with 2 outs. And, that's a trademark of a championship team if you can hit the ball and score runs with 2 outs, and that's exactly what they've done here today.
Well, it speaks to the mental stability and just confidence of a team.
Another high line drive by Crum. Ladies and gentlemen, the Duchesne Eagles go back-to-back with back-to-back bombs. First Farnsworth and then Crum. And they're putting a punctuation mark on this ball game at this point, scoring 2 runs on 2 consecutive home runs with 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 6th inning.
Again, first pitch to both Crum and Farnsworth to step in the box with a ton of confidence, nice hard swings, and you could see with both of those hits, there was no question that they were knocked out of the park.
Yeah, both of those were what we call a no-doubter, no question on either of those, and the Duchesne Eagles continue to crush the ball with 2 outs, doing a great job here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Now, if you're the San Juan coach, you're still telling your team, hey, we can bridge this gap. We can score runs 1 base runner at a time. And they do have 2 outs, so they need to get that 3rd out here. Number 14, Skews, steps into the box, who is 1 for 2 on the day. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Oh, 1 pitch, high and away. Ball 1 levels the count at 1 ball and 1 strike with 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Duchesne on the back-to-back bombs takes an 8-1 lead over San Juan. Swing and a miss, strike 2. That ball was up and out of the zone, but Skews offered at it. And that brings the count to 1-2.
She hesitated just about 3/4 of the way through the swing. Wasn't a complete swing, but
yeah.
she couldn't stop it.
Walcott checks the wristband and toes the rubber. Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2 outs, nobody on. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And that will end the bottom half of the 6th inning. What looked to be promising for San Juan getting 2 outs, but then giving up 2 back-to-back home runs from Farnsworth and Crum, and that brings the score 8-1 at the end of 6 complete innings. We'll be right back.
Nephi Federal Credit Union in Nephi offers convenient service and a variety of financial services. They're your hometown credit union that's been serving local residents for over 63 years, longer than any other financial institution in Nephi. The staff invites you to check out their incredible rates on a variety of loans and savings accounts. Nephi Federal Credit Union, 155 North Main in Nephi. Call 623-1895. That's 623-1895. Nephi Federal Credit Union, proud supporter of the Wasps this season.
I'm Dr. Sorensen. I'm a board-certified pediatrician, and I'm the newest addition to the team of doctors here at Central Valley Medical Center. My goal is to work closely with you when making decisions about your child's health. After all, you know them better than anyone else.
I think as a mom, it can be really overwhelming to find a doctor who's a really good fit for your family. I look for someone who I can trust. It's so validating and comforting knowing that I can call and get the answers I need from Dr. Sorensen and his staff.
I look forward to meeting you and your child and bringing you the best care closer to home.
You're watching state softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom in partnership with KSL Sports. I'm Matt Robinson, joined by Pepper Gale. And Pepper, we move to the top half of the 7th inning. And Grant, after giving up 1 run in the top half of the first, has tightened up. Grant's thrown 6 complete innings, has 5 strikeouts, and given up no walks. And we'll see if she can keep that. But Pepper, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time, and it's possible. Yesterday, Duchesne playing Gunnison had a commanding lead, and then in the the top of the 7th, Gunnison came to within 2 runs. And so, I mean, it's possible. A hit at a time, like you said, a bite at a time.
Yeah, the message to the San Juan kids is, hey, look, yeah, we've got to score 7 runs, but how do we do that? You don't score all 7 runs at once. You need base runner after base runner after base runner. And the first pitch is low and in for ball 1. Fly ball down the right field line is going to land in foul territory for strike 1. Will level the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. So it's a big task, but it's not out of reach. But the message to the San Juan squad needs to be, hey, look, we need base runners, and we need 1 base runner after another after another. They shouldn't take too many risks on the base paths. You really have one option, and that's to hit the ball here, one base runner at a time. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Grant. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Grant beats Perkins with the high heat.
Well, you mentioned, Duchesne with the 2-out rally and the mental toughness. Same for San Juan. Can't let the situation get to your head.
Ball 2 levels the count at 2-2. Yeah, mental toughness. In situations like this, it requires an extreme amount of mental toughness from a squad here in San Juan's situation. We'll see if they can answer. High hit ball deep down the left field line. That ball is going to be fair. And number 5, Perkins, answers the call. I believe Perkins is a pinch hitter. Perkins, the flex player, steps in to the 6 hole for Cosby and delivers a leadoff double here in the top of the 7th inning. So Perkins does exactly what we were talking about and delivers a hard hit line drive, which finds fair territory down the left field line and leads the top of the 7th off with a double. Now the flip side is, if you're Duchesne, that run means nothing.
Oh, no.
You forget about the base runner and you play for the out.
Again, it's playing smart ball at this point too for both teams.
So here's the pitch, hard hit ground ball to the shortstop. Takes a quick glance at the runner, and an errant throw. That's going to be an E6, is going to allow the base runner to advance all the way to 3rd. And Howard advances to 2nd. So, again, Pepper, we just talked about that, but if you notice, Grant took a quick glance at the base runner, trying to hold her on, and I know that may be out of habit, but really the message there is that base runner doesn't matter. Let her advance and get the out. But the errant throw allows the base runner to advance it to 2nd and 3rd with nobody out. And Dally steps into the box. There's a hard hit ground ball to the right side, fielded by the second baseman, and across to first for the first out of the inning. That does play to run. Perkins with the leadoff double, able to score on the ground ball to the right side.
And Kara Grant, the freshman playing at shortstop, she does a really good job playing at short. But like you said, holding the runner there, whether it's by habit or not, just the throw just wasn't quite there. That next play, a little bit of a bobble by the second baseman for Duchesne, but she's able to get to first base for the first out of the top of the seventh.
Yeah, Grant earlier in the game made a sensational diving play at shortstop. It was a hashtag SportsCenter top 10 for sure. It was one of the best plays I've seen of the entire tournament. So she's had a great tournament. Looks like we're going to have another pinch hitter. Number 16, Palmer, is going to step into the 8-hole for Dally. So with one out, runner on third, the pinch hitter Palmer enters the game. One out, runner on third base, and the San Juan Broncos trailing by 6 runs here in the top half of the 7th inning. It's called strike one over the outside corner for Grant. For the San Juan Broncos with one out, the message remains the same. One base runner at a time. For the Duchesne Eagles, it's, hey kids, we need an out. No matter what, let's get an out.
And this is the first matchup between these two teams on the season, right?
I don't know for sure on that.
When I was looking at it yesterday, I think it was, but...
Second pitch fouled off down the right side for strike 2. Count goes to no balls, 2 strikes with one out here in the top of the 7th inning. Here's the 0-2 pitch from Grant.
I was totally wrong, Matt.
High and away.
Duchesne swept in the regular season quite easily. The first with a score of 19-4, and the second meeting 17-2.
Okay, so this game much closer than the previous 2 meetings. Ball 1, count goes to 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fouled off down the third baseline. Count will remain at 1 ball and 2 strikes with one out and a runner on third base here in the top half of the 7th inning. Grant just went past 100 pitches after giving up 1 run in the top of the first. Has done a great job. Swing and a miss for strike 3. And the second out of the inning for Grant and the Duchesne Eagles, and they are 1 out away from advancing to the 3 p.m. championship game.
That's going to be a fun game. Last year, both Duchesne and Enterprise met up in that semifinal game. Enterprise gets the win, and then Duchesne comes back the next day and beats them in 2 games to win state.
And there's a hit ground ball to the right side, fielded by the second baseman, across to the first baseman for the 4-3 putout, and that's the ball game, folks. After giving up 1 run in the top of the 7th, Grant shuts the San Juan Broncos down, and that'll do it. Duchesne Eagles defeat the San Juan Broncos 8-2. And San Juan will drop to the 1-loss bracket here to play Beaver in about 30 minutes here on Field 4. And the Duchesne Eagles advance to the championship bracket 3 p.m. game to square off against the Enterprise Wolves. What a ball game by the Duchesne Eagles. The Duchesne Eagles scored 1 run in the bottom of the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 3 in the 4th, and 3 in the 6th on 13 hits, giving up 2 errors. The San Juan Broncos score 1 run in the top of the 1st and 1 run in the top of the 7th on 5 hits with 1 error. And that'll do it for us here from the Spanish Fork Softball Complex. The Duchesne Eagles defeat the San Juan Broncos to advance to the 3 p.m. championship game. Folks, we'll see you back here in a few minutes for more championship softball on TeamHive.live, powered by Centricom.